Welcome to another waitingfornextyear.com quick hit on the Cleveland Indians. Today I'm going to be talking about Carlos Santana of the Cleveland Indians. Of course, this past week, the Cleveland Indians made a qualifying offer to Carlos Santana for $17.4 million, one-year deal, obviously. And Santana has 10 days to accept or decline that offer. That, of course, will be coming up here on Thursday, so we have about a week to go before Santana makes his decision. Now, I don't know exactly what the Cleveland Indians are hoping here. Are they hoping that he takes the deal so that he has a year to come up with some sort of contract to keep him long-term, or are the Indians hoping that he declines the offer so that they get a draft pick down the line for Santana if he signs elsewhere? Not really sure what they're hoping for. I would expect that they're hoping to sign Santana, being that he really has been the glue that's held this team together since his rookie year way back in 2010. Now, let's talk about the qualities of Carlos Santana that really aren't talked about enough. The fact that Carlos Santana plays every single day. I mean, this is a guy who's been averaging in the realm of 150 ball games over the past several seasons, has played in over 140 games really since his first year. This is also a guy who will play anywhere that they ask him to. He's started, of course, as a catcher, obviously had defensive issues there, offered to play third base, offered to play first base, offered to play in the outfield. This is a guy who continually does what players do to make clubhouses happy, especially managers. Not sure how much that is appreciated outside of the locker room, certainly is appreciated in the locker room. So in Carlos Santana, you're getting a guy who isn't often talked about as a clubhouse leader, clearly is that clubhouse leader. Of course, if you're not vocal about it, that often is overlooked in this day and age. So let's talk about the kind of money that Carlos Santana will likely get should he go to the open market. Of course, this is a market that's got some interesting candidates out there. Travis Sawchik of The Athletic and of Fangraphs wrote this great piece at Fangraphs a couple of days ago talking about the money that Hosmer is looking for. Rumors have it that his agent is looking for an 8-year, $200 million contract. I mean, 7-year-old had a fantastic season. Of course, Tom Hamilton's boy out there, I can never hear too much positive things about Eric Hosmer from Tom Hamilton. He would probably give him the $200 million himself if he had it. But you look at a guy like Carlos Santana and you compare him to Eric Hosmer, and Travis Sawchik made a fantastic point. This is a guy who quite possibly could outproduce Eric Hosmer over the next 3 seasons, depending on what kind of deal we're seeing. A lot of people expect Carlos Santana to get a 3 or 4 year deal in the $15 to $16 million range. This was something that we talked about at WFNY a year ago when Edwin Encarnacion signed the big deal with Cleveland. When comparing the two and comparing what the two have done, even taking age into account, the thinking is that obviously not a similar player in strict numbers, but a similar positioned player probably isn't going to get as much as Encarnacion, even at a younger age. So what does Santana expect? I mean, I would expect a 3-year, $45 to $50 million deal. Now, who's out there that might sign him to something like that? You've got teams like the Yankees, teams like Boston, who probably are going to be in play. As we mentioned in our last podcast, Gage Will talked about this a little bit. A huge market next year with a lot of big-time free agents, though. Guys like Bryce Harper are out there, Manny Machado's out there, and we're looking at guys who will likely get $200 million. And with the Yankees likely in play for both, with the Red Sox likely in play for both, or even a team like the Dodgers, a team like Chicago, who have the capital and cash, maybe this year is going to have a suppressed market. If that's the case, getting Santana at 3 and 45 is a possibility. Into the Hosmer stuff right now, because if Hosmer gets 8 and 200, good luck with that. You want to talk about a guy certainly with at age 27, certainly with upside, but a guy who certainly has been erratic. Hosmer is the guy to me. Now, is this going to be a springboard to his future? Who knows? But I'm not talking about Eric Hosmer. I'm talking about Carlos Santana. Travis Sawchik makes the point that over a 3-year span, if you get 3 and 45 for Carlos Santana, because of that batting eye, it's really possible that Carlos Santana could perform better than Eric Hosmer at a far less cost than Hosmer, who likely will, should he not get that $200 million deal, which I doubt he gets. We'll probably be looking in the realm of 80 to 100 million over a shorter period of time. So it's going to be an interesting, if Carlos Santana doesn't take the qualifying offer, it's going to be an interesting watch to see what he gets in comparison to Hosmer, and to see if Santana has to wait, or if he waits, or if a team like the Indians swoops in and signs him anyways. Now, what are the chances of this qualifying offer getting picked up? Now, I don't have the statistics here, but it's not often that a player takes that qualifying offer. Now, we've heard it 1,000 times. People love to play in Cleveland. We heard it with Victor Martinez. We heard it with Jim Thome. We heard it with Manny Ramirez. They love to play in Cleveland, but they never, ever take less money. So we should probably get that out of our heads. I mean, is Carlos Santana going to take $17.4 million, which probably is going to be a little bit bigger than he gets in a long-term deal? But a one-year deal at his age probably isn't the smart play. The smart play, of course, strike while the iron's hot. One of the best defensive first basemen in the league. You can say that now about Carlos Santana, who the smart people have always said, if he gets that full year at first base, Carlos Santana is going to be a good first baseman, and he proved that. Finally getting the everyday at bats multiple years in a row at first base, we can see defensively what he can do. Obviously didn't win the Gold Glove. Absolutely ridiculous that he didn't get it. I believe, what was it, Wilson or Rawlings? It just gave him their version of the best defensive player at first base. So not getting the Gold Glove means nothing. People know how good defensively he was over this past year. He's always been good athletically. You give him time and you give him the reps, he shows you how good he can be. Now, offensively, early in the season obviously wasn't his best season. He did come on a little bit stronger at the end of the season. But here's the thing you're always, always, always going to get from Carlos Santana, and that's walks. Now, I know there are people right now that are like, exactly. Yes, exactly. And you can spin that however you want to, but this is a guy who gets on base every single year. He ranks top 5 to 10 in walks every year, if not leading the league. And this is not a skill that goes away, not in your prime years, which Santana still has. So you have that in your back pocket. On the upside of all of this is you've got a player who will move anywhere in the lineup for you, however he's hitting. He's hit from first to third to fourth to fifth to sixth to seventh. This is a guy who does not complain. We've seen players complain, and while, I mean, this is no direct rip on Jason Kipnis, we've seen kind of the irritation of having to move around. Now, in Kipnis's defense, obviously, when the teams needed him to do something, he's always been willing to do it, just a little more vocal about it, whereas Carlos Santana has always been a vocal proponent of doing whatever he could do. And this is what the Indians should be looking at right now. So, does he accept a qualifying offer? I say no. I just can't imagine him taking that one-year deal. If he does take that one-year deal, maybe for the first time in recent memory, we get a really good idea of how much he likes playing here. Because the only reason why he would take that one-year deal would likely to perhaps sign a longer-term deal. I don't know if the Indians nudge, nudge, wink, wink, say, take the deal and we're going to sign you. That could be. I'm pretty sure that's probably what happened with Michael Brantley playing in the postseason. Nudge, nudge, wink, wink, we're picking up your option. And there he is. Now, that's the other question. You pick up Carlos Santana, you're pretty much locking Michael Brantley into that left field spot, because where else is he going to play? Is he going to DH? No, you've got Edwin Encarnacion, which means with Carlos Santana playing first base, you pretty much lock the rest of your lineup, maybe even including Jason Kipnis, where there's obviously been talk of him playing left field. You really kind of lock up your offense. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I mean, having Kipnis playing second, having Brantley healthy playing left, and having Santana playing first obviously was effective for the Indians this year and can be effective down the road. Now, the big question being, will Brantley be healthy? If not, doesn't matter if you sign Santana, because you obviously have options there. Not only do you have the Kipnis option, not only do you have the Santana option should you choose it, but you also have guys like Greg Allen. You also have guys like Abraham Almonte. You could even move Bradley Zimmer over there depending on what else you do in the outfield. Of course, you have a guy like Lonnie Chisenhall who could play out there. It just depends on how that outfield looks. So, Carlos Santana, the Indians kind of, I don't know, kind of waving in the wind right now, wondering whether or not he's going to take the qualifying offer or whether or not he's going to be open to free agency. And what will that look like for the Indians if he leaves? Who will they sign? Don't know. Looks like Jay Bruce is out there too. And no offense to Jay Bruce. If you gave me a choice between the two, I'm going to pay the extra money to get Carlos Santana. Of course, if you ask Jay Bruce's agent, Bruce is going to get what was it, 5 and 80? Not going to happen. Bring back Carlos Santana. They should have signed him out of the gate and let the option slide, but I think you all know how I feel about that. All right, on to the next. Thanks for listening. Do all of the things that you should do with our YouTube channel. Go there, type in waitingfornextyear.com into the search engine, find our YouTube channel, click subscribe. We've been getting 1 to 2 ads every single day. We'd like to get it up to 200 here in the next couple of weeks, so help us out. Subscribing costs nothing, and it won't even really do anything other than notify you on the YouTube site. So help us out at waitingfornextyear.com. Make us do more of these videos. Try to make it a daily show. See you soon.